What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another brand new installment of Renegades Reviews, exclusively here as always on the Casa D18 Studios channel. I, of course, am your host, the Renegade JJ Williams, and today is going to be a really interesting one as we take a look at 1997's Steel, starring Shaquille O'Neal, Annabeth Gish, Judd Nelson, Richard Roundtree, Irma P. Hall, and Ray J. What's going on, everybody? Thank you for joining me here once again for another brand new installment of Renegades Reviews. And today's show is going to be quite a bit of shenanigans, hence the shirt choice. So I'm going to take a look at Shaquille O'Neal in 1997's Steel. And I know what you're thinking. A lot of you guys are probably calling me incredibly brave for sitting through this film and watching it to be able to talk about it and review it for you guys. Just keep an open mind here. I always try to be fair. I always try to be impartial. I am not a comic book geek, so I don't go off of what may or may not have happened in the DC comic pages for Steel. I'm going to try and give a little bit of both sides to the coin in this one. Let's get right into it here, shall we? Now, our film opens with John Henry Irons, who's a weapons designer, and he invents high-tech laser guns, protective armor, and some sound cannons for the United States military. During a weapons demonstration one day, Nathaniel Burke, who's a soldier on the team, takes it upon himself to show just what Irons' weapons can really do, and sets one of the weapons at the highest power setting. They fire the sonic cannon at an abandoned building. However, the weapon backfires and ends up destroying the building that the team is situated in. Irons' partner, Susan Sparky Sparks, ends up being crushed by a large slab of concrete in the ensuing chaos. And in court, Irons reveals what Burke's role was in the incident, causing Burke to be dishonorably discharged by the military. As a result of weapons of his own design having turned Sparky into a paraplegic, Irons resigns from the military. Meanwhile, Burke devises a plan to sell the weapons designed by Irons to criminal gangs, recruiting a video game arcade manager to help him execute his vision. Irons ends up witnessing a bank robbery organized by gang members that are wielding Burke's modified guns, but they are able to escape before he can interrogate them as to where they obtained the weapons. When Irons confronts the gang in their hideout, they still refuse to give up any information. Irons goes to visit Sparky in the hospital, and he ends up taking her back to his own assembled laboratory, where he hopes that the two of them can create the weaponry that is needed to combat the criminals with the help of Uncle Joe. The trio end up forging a suit of armor as well as the necessary weapons for Irons to carry out his war on crime by transforming into the vigilante Steel. Unfortunately, during his crusade against crime, Steel is pursued by the cops and forced to return to his lair. The next night, the robbers arrange to hit another bank, but when Steel tries to stop them, he is hindered by the robbers' weapons. When Irons returns to his grandmother's house, he is arrested, and Burke begins his preparations to auction his modified weaponry to every criminal organization in the world, via the use of the internet. Irons gets released from jail, but then Sparky is captured by Burke's thugs. Steele attempts to infiltrate Burke's headquarters, but is captured in the process. Burke continues with the auction, but is tricked by Steele, which allows him and Sparks to destroy Burke's lair. Burke himself is killed when a laser fired towards Steele is reflected back towards him, thanks in part to Steele's suit. After this, Steele, Sparky, Uncle Joe, and Martin escape Burke's lair. Our film comes to its close at the grand opening of Grandma Odessa's restaurant, and Odessa tells Irons about Steele, prompting Uncle Joe to ask her opinion of the hero. Odessa claims that anyone would be proud to have him as a member of their family. Sparky then shows Irons the new modifications that she has made to her wheelchair, which allows her to walk, causing Irons to smile and hug her. Okay, there's a lot to unpack here. Is the film cheesy? Yes. Is it corny? Yeah, absolutely. Is it as bad as people make it out to be? Therein lies the million-dollar question, in my opinion. Because I don't think it is. I think Shaquille O'Neal comes off as incredibly charming throughout the film. I think Judd Nelson is a really good villain. Little campy at some points, but not as bad as we've seen in other films. Irma P. Hall, arguably in her stride, as she had both this and Soul Food come out about a month apart from each other. Richard Roundtree, Shaft from the 70s, even makes a little throwaway line about how much he likes the shaft on Steele's hammer, which I heard that joke and I'm like, aha, I get what you did there. Ray J, Brandy's little brother, basically all he was known as at the time, I felt did a good job. And you have to keep in mind what superhero movies were like at the time. Okay? Batman Returns was in 1992. And with the exception of The Crow, take a listen to some of these comic book superhero films that came out between Batman Returns and Steel. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3. Meteor Man. RoboCop 3. Blank Man. Judge Dredd. Turbo, a Power Rangers movie. Orgasmo. Barbed Wire. Batman and Robin. This film was a product of its time. And when you compare it to the films of the time, I really don't think it's that bad. Now, if you want to try and compare Steel to 1989 Batman, Batman Returns, the Christopher Reeve Superman, the Dark Knight trilogy, Iron Man, or any of the films that came in the MCU, then yeah, this movie is the drizzling shits in comparison to those. In comparison to what was out at the time, really not that bad at the end of the day, in my personal opinion. Now, does that mean that I'm going to rate it high? Absolutely not. I'm fair. For years, I said the best thing about Steel was its soundtrack. And for the most part, I still stand by that claim. But after dropping the $10 to watch it on Vudu, so I now own it in my digital library, I really don't feel like I wasted my money. I feel like the film is a lot better than people give it credit for. And I feel that if people sat down, watched it in context with the other films that were out around the same time, that maybe, just maybe, you would have a change of opinion about it as well. Like I said, the charisma of Shaquille O'Neal in this film, right out there. Like, he is so charming in this movie. I can understand why he ended up getting other film roles. Again, movies that may or may not be that great, but I can understand why he was able to get those, because he was so charming. When it comes to my rating for Steel, I'm going to give it 2 out of 5 stars. Again, I'm a realist. I can't rate it 3, 4, 4.5, 3.5 stars. Can't do that. And some of you may think that 2 stars is too high. And we're all entitled to our opinions. As we say on Dads all the time, it's subjective. But I really feel that this film deserves another look and a more fair comparison than what it gets. Let me know what you guys think. For all my fans and everybody that are tuning in for the premiere, leave your thoughts and comments over here. All you guys tuning in a little bit later in the day, leave your thoughts and comments down here. Whatever you do, though, when you get out there on social media, let's try to get those hashtags trending. Hashtag Casa D18 Studios, hashtag Renegades Reviews, hashtag Renegade Returns, and, of course, the ever-popular hashtag Shenanigans. We interrupt this episode of Renegades Reviews for an important announcement about
merchandising.
Merchandising? What's that?
Merchandising. Come, I'll show you. Merchandising, merchandising, where the real money's made.
Make sure you go over to teespring.com/stores/Jeff Meacham Network for all the t-shirts you see here from the West Coast professor, Jeff Meacham himself. You can get shirts for the Jeff Meacham Network, Talk Wrestling, as well as the red and gold Meachamania shirts. And while you're there, don't forget to get your shirts of the Casa D18 Studios Brotherhood, the Dads on Wrestling shirt, the Renegade JJ Williams, Statboy Sports Bar, and the hashtag Statboy Approved shirt. Make sure you go over to teespring.com/stores/Jeff Meacham Network and score your shirts today. Make sure you guys tune in tomorrow, right back here on the Casa D18 Studios channel for another brand new installment of Renegades Reviews, when we continue with the shenanigans and we take a look at 2004's Catwoman, starring Halle Berry, Benjamin Bratt, Sharon Stone, Alex Borstein, and Lambert Wilson. You're not going to want to miss out tomorrow, right back here on the Casa D18 Studios channel, right back here on an all-new Renegades Reviews, when we take a look at another heavily lampooned film from the DC archives, Catwoman. To all my loyal fans and viewers out there tuning in for the premiere, leaving your thoughts and comments over here, thank you very much. I greatly appreciate each and every one of you. Likewise, all my loyal fans and viewers out there tuning in a little bit later in the day, watching on demand, leaving your thoughts and comments down here. Thank you very much. I appreciate each and every one of you. I appreciate all my loyal fans and viewers that tune in on a regular basis, show me that love, that support, trying to help boost my views up so I can eventually get monetized. Thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you very much for joining me today and watching, and I will see you guys next time.